Okay. It's the Erskiin Music Show. I am broadcasting from an undisclosed location. Oh. All right, enough of that, folks. I'm on the road with the band, and so I don't have much that I can do here. I'm using some different technology for this. Your screen orientation is a little bit different. But look, it's the Erskiin Music Show. We're going to give the people the best. In fact, Big Head is here to join us. What's up, Big Head? Big Head. I'm playing the cooking music from the beginning, Big Head. You're saying, why are you playing this from the beginning? I'm playing it from the beginning because we're cooking from the beginning. I'm on tour today, but you guys are about to see one of the best of the rest. We did a season premiere and it was a 2-hour show. A lot of you guys only watched that show for an hour. You know how I know? Because the numbers dropped off after the first hour. So I'm going to rebroadcast the second hour. Let you guys know that the Erskiin Music, I'll be punching in from time to time, just to let you guys know that I'm here. But you guys will have quality broadcasting today. It is the Erskiin Music Show. All right, every day is a party on the show. Every day is a party on that show. All right, enough of that. What we really got to do here is we got to get through these tags real quick. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, what are you waiting for? Yo, that's super loud in my ears. All right, for those of you who are watching on various platforms, I'll just go ahead and let you know that on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Rumble, and Instagram, and soon GodTube, you can be watching the show. And I don't know what's stopping you from doing that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, there's a lot of source material used in the second part of the show. And so the copyright disclaimer of 1976 that allows fair use of non-proprietary information will be a clause that I will be using. Take that, put it in your pipe and smoke it. YouTube trying to send me copyright strikes. All right, folks, gospel choir is in motion. Hallelujah! Get your tambourines ready. Get your popcorn ready. It's the Erskiin Music Show. Just kidding, I already did that. All right, we're coming back here with, as I said before, I don't really have much that I'm going to be saying on this one. I want to say hi to everybody that's out there. Hope you guys are doing well. Drop a comment in the comment section. I will read it later. But for now, you guys get a chance to watch the Erskiin Music Show in its entirety. Hour number 2 of the season premiere. Without further ado, let's get to our top story for today. The second hour and some of the stories that you may have missed this summer, or at least that I may have missed, that now I get a chance to comment on. Here we go. Handsome. And I go, well, anything he can do, I can do better. Well, why does he get a big platform? I want to tell people about Jesus. I want to read the scriptures on this show. I want to deal with some of the issues that are out there and help people have these kind of conversations. What I found that the beauty of this show is that I'm having conversations that you've always wanted to have with people. I'm having conversations with liberal neighbors and liberal friends. I'm having conversations with college students. And these are the kind of conversations that you've wanted to have, the kind of conversations that you've wanted to have with people, the kind of things that you've wanted to say, the kind of things that you didn't know people were actually saying out there about Jesus, about culture, about Christians. And I'm actually saying them out loud so that you can begin thinking about those. And so I don't want to put a price on what it is for you to actually use your brain and think, because God gave that to you for free. But just think with your brain. Think with your brains, people. If there's a soundbite that I want to use for today, it's use your brains, people. Think. And then think God's thoughts from God's word. That's why we do a devotion on this show. So we're thinking God's thoughts from God's words, and we're going out into the world. Do what you do. Do what you do. Literally. Like if you're a plumber, then do your plumbing job. If you're a music artist, then sing the song, write songs. Do what you do to the glory of King Jesus. That's what we do as followers. All right, I'm gonna give you another song. Actually, I'm gonna give you a 30-second countdown because there's really, I don't even know how to push these buttons for the next 30 seconds. Big Head, closing out segment 1. Why you got that look on your face? Wipe that look off your face. Yes, we're closing out segment 1, 30-second countdown. Then we're coming back with some Erskiin music. I think I'm gonna do the song Everything. Yeah, I am. And then I'll be back. I'm talking about Michael Tate. I'm talking about Donald Trump. And I'm talking about, hopefully, if I can get to this last one on detransitioning from the trans movement. Anyway, I'll get into all that in the next hour. The Erskiin Music Show. Couldn't wait to get back to you guys on this particular episode. Yeah, so stay tuned.
I was a castaway, running from it. How did I last the day? But you found me running into a greater light. I was blind when I found my sight. Oh, I tried changing the way I was thinking, but I couldn't do it alone. The gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. Now it's changing, oh it's changing. It's changing everything. My resurrection feels like I'm running free. Life is so different than what it used to be. Testify, rescue. I'm never going back, not defined by a broken past. Oh, I tried changing the way I was thinking, but I couldn't do it alone. The gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. Now it's changing, oh it's changing. It's changing everything. Anything is possible with Jesus in my life. There's nothing more incredible than God so loved the world. Oh, the gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. I tried changing the way I was thinking, but I couldn't do it alone. The gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. Now it's changing, oh it's changing, yeah it's changing. Oh, now it's changing everything.
This is Dr. Jason Lee Plummer, Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church, Headmaster of Litchfield Christian School. And I pity the fool who doesn't watch or listen to Erskiin Music Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Once again, we're continue on with the Erskiin Music Show. Second hour. It's great to have my wife on. First hour, but we are moving on. We're moving on, folks, because we've got to get to some of this information related to Michael Tate. Now, I will go ahead and say this. Michael Tate and I only met one time. I don't have any extensive background information. And you might be saying to yourself, well, that was over 2 months ago. Why are you just not talking about this? Because as I had mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, that was one of those things that came out. I think my friend Jesse Morris broke that story about a week or so after I went on hiatus. And again, for those of you who are in social media, I would say you should do this. And I'm not gonna bother you like your daddy or anything, but you should do this. I think it creates a level of authenticity. I was telling you about all the books that I read this summer, because I wanted to devote my summer to reading books and having conversations where I can look people in the eye. That's what I wanted to do. And be off of social media, not following stories, not commenting on different things. I've probably been up since about 4 o'clock this morning. It's Central Standard Time. What is it? It's 10 o'clock right now. And so I started doing research, started setting up and prepping for the show, usually by about 5:30 on any typical day I'm in the studio, but wanted to kind of get a little earlier start today, just thinking through the show and getting everything ready. And that's a lot of time on social media. That's a lot of time going through stories. That's a lot of time, I am the producer of the show as well as the talent on the show. And so, and I'm not apologizing for that. It may be this way for a while until some multimillionaire picks the show up and says, hey, we can make this show into something. If Candace Owens can have a show, if Tucker Carlson can have a show, then Erskiin can have a show that needs to be nationally syndicated. If the Daily Wire can be out there doing what they do, then Erskiin definitely can have a show. He's got more personality than any of those people combined. I digress. It was one of those times where I decided I needed to take some time off, and I do this every summer, and I also do this during Christmas time. So for a couple of weeks there's no Erskiin music show. You'll just have to get over it. You just have to figure out what to do in life. Go back and watch the reruns, but probably it'd be a good time for you to get off social media as well. And so when I meet people who don't have social media accounts, they're not on social media, they're not constantly buried in the thing, I generally have better conversations with them. I'll just go ahead and put that out there. And so if you don't subscribe to the show, like I said, you can like it, you can subscribe to the show, if I can say the word subscribe, or you could not subscribe to the show, or you don't even have to like the show. We live in a free country. Do whatever you feel like the Lord is calling you to do. Just do that and you'll be all right. And I'll be all right with you if you're all right with that. And so one of the things that happened was this story came out. My friend Jesse Morris, she's been on the show before, broke the story about Michael Tate. Julie Roy's picked it up and other groups that are out there. And so you'll see a little bit of Julie Roy's in this next story, but I had no comments whatsoever on Facebook. I think I may have liked something that one of my other friends said, or maybe a couple of words in reference to what somebody else said about something. It was like third or fourth hand, but I made no comments whatsoever at the time. I've remained relatively silent. And for somebody like myself, who is actually a music artist in Nashville, in the music industry as an independent artist, for me to not say anything about Michael Tate and that whole situation, you're kind of going, well, you talk about everything. I mean, in fact, I'm prepping up because I've got to show on Martin Luther King Jr. and some things that black people or some black people are not going to like me saying about Martin Luther King Jr. So you talk about everything on the show. You didn't talk about Michael Tate. Does that somehow mean that you're implicated, that you're involved in that? I don't think anybody that knows me thinks that or would even insinuate or believe anything like that. Is that Erskiin butting up to the music industry and trying to cover up? And, it's kind of the Nashville secret. You guys know me better than that. I will go without a record deal. I will go without friends in the industry before I would let something like that go. And so I didn't comment on it because I was in that window of recharging, refreshing, reorienting my mind, literally reshaping my mind by reading books and having long periods of silence. And so I didn't comment on the story, but now I'm back, the Erskiin Music Show. I'm going to comment. I'll make a couple comments on the show. And so let me jump into a little bit of this that I wanted to share. And yeah, thanks for that. And I'll share a little bit of this and then we'll stop along the way. And your comments are welcome here on the Erskiin Music Show. I've got like 2 weeks worth of material just from this one show. Here it is. If you grew up a DC Talk or Newsboys fan, this lady is triggered. There's no way for us to avoid it. I'm not trying to bring up old news, but I think this is still pressing and ongoing news, and I hadn't commented on it yet. So let's get into this.
Constructing, or you face some type of church abuse, because it can be a bit triggering how systems of power and money protect people who bring them power and money.
You're absolutely right. This goes beyond the victims and even beyond their abusers. At its core, it's about a system that not only allows the abuse to happen, but protects those who benefit from it.
You don't question anybody with the last name of Kasi. You don't question anybody that they put in a position of authority. And if you do, you will be reprimanded. And if you do it twice.
Oh, that's that one lady who's up in Canada. What's her name? Is there on the top of the screen? She's the lady that's up in Canada that was talking about the Daystar. I think she may have had a syndicated show that was on Daystar. And then when all of that wacky stuff started coming out about Daystar, she actually took her show, I think, off of Daystar, if I'm correct. So she's kind of a straight shooter as well, and commenting on what this. Now, I say Michael Tate, but it's not just Michael Tate. And for people who are just like, well, Michael Tate's becoming the fall guy for things that have been going on in the industry, and he's sort of become the scapegoat for a lot of folks who are in the industry, who are involved in some of these things, who it's not being talked about, and they just want to have a name that's out there. They want to tar and feather him. Well, we can get to all the other things that are out there, but let's talk about the clear and present thing that we do know in relationship to his confession letter, in relationship to some of the investigative reporting, the allegations that are out there that are ongoing, and some of the charges that are out there. We can deal definitely with those things.
There is no third chance. You're out.
Far too often, untrained children of pastors are elevated into positions of influence, exuding a sense of entitlement.
I was born in Washington, D.C., son to a pastor, a church planner, and the baby of 9 kids.
In this system, questioning is discouraged, obedience is demanded. And
I actually didn't like, I mean, I've watched this a couple times this morning. Let me know what you think about that, but I actually didn't love that comment. I didn't love that they made the equivocation that if you're the son or related to a pastor, you're automatically elevated to a position. Now it does happen. There is nepotism within Christianity, within pastoral ministry, but that it necessarily, that is the word that I was trying to say, that it necessarily means that you are untrained. Because then I think that says something about the pastor himself. Pastor was untrained, or at least didn't disciple his kids, and then elevated them to a position without them having the knowledge and the ability to be able to do those things. I know many, many examples of kids of pastors who grew up watching the example of their father, watching the example of their parents in ministry, who have gone on and done some tremendous things. And so I don't think that it's necessarily part and parcel. I don't think it is that these folks who are in ministry have been elevated without being tested. Sometimes that's the case, and very many times I'm kind of curious about the lack of theological training for people who stand to influence lots and lots and lots of people. And so I'm always curious to know who somebody is reading. Like, who have you read? Where have you studied? And it's not necessarily a study so I can flex on anybody, because I don't think that Southwestern is the greatest institution in the history of the world. And I said that out publicly. It's a place where I studied, and very thankful for my theological education there. Wonderful professors and a wonderful place. But maybe there's some more rigorous academic institutions out there. That's all I was saying. But where a person studied, or that means the books that they're reading, which means the ideas that they're ruminating on, has some kind of influence and impact in their lives. So who are you reading? What are you reading? What are you thinking about? Because whatever you're thinking about, whoever it is that you're reading, whatever is influencing you, sort of becomes a litmus test for what you will then produce in music, culture, art. Sometimes what you produce gets wildly popular, and then it gets out there on the cutting edge, and then that requires you to be in front of more people, and then being in front of more people. And I've always said this, and I've heard a lot of people say this: what would I do if there were hundreds of thousands of people who watch this show, who comment on this show, who watch everything that I do, who see me in my not nice moments and commenting on those kind of things? How would I handle those kind of pressures? How would I hold up to that? And so that is a little bit of a challenge that's there. And so I wanted to at least give a little bit of leeway for the music industry not to be sloppy. I'm gonna call out some things about accountability, not to be sloppy, but just for everything not to work the way that it necessarily you would think that it does. So, okay, that's my disclaimer. Second thing is I'm getting into this and watching Kevin Sorbo here. Why is Kevin Sorbo in every Christian film? I mean, for real. I mean, Kevin Sorbo, he's good. He's good. He's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But you do know that there are more Christian actors out there besides Kevin Sorbo. I'm just saying you can hire me, do your film. Anyway, I wanted to just say that to those who, I think it's disrespectful to say allegedly are victims, but have been victimized in some way, whether that stands and at what level that stands in the court of justice, but have been traumatized or triggered by any of this. My heart does go out to you. I do think that it's a tragedy. The influence and the cloak of celebrity can be used to hide egregious things. And then on the dark side, the flip side of a lot of these conversations, there's, like Danny Goki said, that we're all broken people. Every moment of our lives, we all need Jesus. So let's look at a little bit more of this. Let's bring in some Julie Roys here in just a second.
Times, even worship is expected. But the pattern we frequently see on the other side of this unchecked power, public disgrace.
And admit and accept is that most of these Christian artists
and many of their megachurch pastors are a far cry from the Christ-like example they claim to follow. Their worship is often performative, more spectacle than substance, while behind the scenes, they engage in alliances and practices that bear disturbing resemblance to the very forces they publicly condemn.
Nashville's worst-kept secret. For decades, allegations have circulated that Newsboys frontman Michael Tate, formerly of DC Talk, had groomed and sexually assaulted numerous victims. And after a 2.5-year investigation by the Roys Report, which included interviewing more than 50 sources, TRR has documented Tate's alleged predatory pattern with stories dating back more than 2 decades. TRR also has corroborated allegations of Tate's alcohol and substance abuse with multiple sources.
In the world of gospel music, talent is often
now that's going to have to hold up,
and charisma can cloak a multitude of contradictions.
That's going to have to hold up against
soaring vocals, magnetic stage presence, and prophetic lyrics, but rarely.
And I don't know what it is they're using here, but this doesn't look like a Christian.
This disparity, the gap between spiritual skill and personal virtue, has become the silent tension.
Maybe they were just using this to demonstrate
and in
a
many
large
cases,
scale concert. I don't know anybody coming out with penguin suit.
While audiences are moved by the anointing, few see what happens when that public power is not grounded in private integrity. From megachurch pulpits to Grammy stages, some of gospel's most gifted artists have been entangled in controversies that include financial exploitation, substance abuse, and abuse of power. This investigation isn't about sensationalism. It's about accountability in an industry where giftedness can become a shield, and where spiritual.
You guys remember Acquire the Fire? ATF. Back in my student ministry days, Acquire the Fire, baby.
Influence too often goes unchecked. What happens when the calling outpaces the character? When the platform grows, but the person behind it never matures? As we delve into some of the most unsettling scandals involving world-renowned gospel artists,
I don't know what
we
this
examine
is.
not just
I would fast forward, but it's the video that they
the
use.
deeper crisis they reveal. A system that celebrates gifts while neglecting the virtues that must sustain them.
Michael Tate, a legacy under scrutiny.
There have been times I have just desecrated the walk, if you will. I've messed up. And
This was an open secret in Nashville. This was an open secret in Christian music community.
3 men spoke to TRR, alleging that Tate befriended them individually on Christian music tours in 2004, 2010, and 2014. They were all 22 years old at the time. 2 men stated that they were drinking alcohol with Tate and later woke to him fondling their genitals. One alleged Tate also offered him cocaine.
Oh yeah, I guess I should have made the disclaimer, hide your kids. That's not necessarily something that, for the kids who watch the Erskiin Music Show, I mean, this is all public report. This news and commentary that's out there. But yeah, hide your kids.
While on the Newsboys tour bus, the third told TRR that Tate gave him a back massage while skinny dipping and later invited him to share his king-size bed. There, Tate allegedly, non-consensually massaged his anal region.
All of this happened.
All right,
During
let
official tour.
me get to, yeah, that's the stopping point for me right there. A couple things that I wanted to say, and those of you who know my cautionary tale, this serves as one of them. That being, you know, folks want to often get to that place in life where, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, they can just go in and just move in and out of circles and just do things because they have access. And I've often heard Ruslan talk about access to excess. And access to excess without character, proper character development, will at some point get you in a place where your character cannot respond to the challenge that's ahead, cannot respond to the present situation. And so there's the kind of blinking light elephant in the room conversation, is that this is Michael Tate and his name is out there. He confessed and he, you know, treatment and all the different things that are out there. And many people say, well, or people using him as a scapegoat. But Michael Tate is not the only one. Michael Tate is not the only one. And, you know, as investigative reporting goes on, Michael Tate will not be the last one. So should we ask ourselves the question about the culture of Christian music? I was really glad to see some of the conversations that were being had about that. And even some of my reform friends who were coming out and saying, you just don't give people who have not been tested a platform. You just don't do it. It's just not wise. There was the whole thing that came out with Chip and Joanna Gaines this summer, you know, kind of waffling on some of the things that they have taught and kind of believed. And so I can understand the reaction of some who say, well, we're just going to dial this thing all the way back and never give a platform to Christian music artists. Just serve, just be lowly. In the world that we live in, contextually speaking, that's a little unreasonable. But I do appreciate the fact that people are asking questions about the platform. They're asking questions, and good questions. I always appreciate that. I always appreciate people who jump in the comment section and they say, well, you said this, what about this? I appreciate that kind of thing. We go back and forth. Usually, and I think that this is axiomatic for life, you show up every day, put your heart and soul into what it is that you're doing, be prepared to do what it is that you're doing. That's why I do prep time for the show. Usually, even if I'm saying things in a lighthearted manner on the show, I'm doing so with the knowledge in mind that if someone were to jump into the comment section, and this, I mean, obviously, you know, you could ask questions that I wouldn't have the answer for. You could ask questions that I wouldn't even attempt to give an answer for. And, you know, have that moment if you want to have that moment on the show. But typically speaking, I'm thinking to myself, when I say the comment section is turned on, the comment section is turned on so people can ask a question, so they can say, well, you said this, but what about this? In some circles in the Christian music industry, there's no exchange between the artist and the audience. And among some artists, that would be a little bit untenable. You need a gatekeeper, at least a producer, to be able to say, okay, we're gonna let this question get in. Not gonna let this one, it'd have to be a little bit more selective of that. But I would love to have a show where there's hundreds of thousands of people who view it and who can call in and who can can appear on the show and ask questions. Clearly, this was not the situation with the Newsboys. And so I'm asking questions about Michael Tate, but I want to take it beyond that. I want to ask questions about the Newsboys. I think we are owed some answers with relationships to the Newsboys. I want to actually even ask some questions to Toby Mac. I know everybody loves Toby Mac. He's a great guy. The video that I was in of his, Help Is on the Way, great guy, great video. We had a great time together, but I think it's probably important to ask him some questions as well. It's important to ask Christian music writ large questions about motivations, questions about practices. You guys know that when I'm traveling with women, I don't travel with women alone. I don't do that. Unless my wife. She didn't like to travel with me. And so putting boundaries in place and having a rationale for why you're doing things the way that you're doing things, letting people ask questions about those things, finding best and better practices with regards to things, more wise practices, I should say. I think it's important. I think that's important to ask questions like that. I think it's important to have among some of the discussions that I've had, and I won't mention the names of the bands and the artists that I've had discussions with, to have those kind of almost in-house discussions where we're challenging certain narratives, asking important questions, and being held accountable. And so, what are your comments? What are your thoughts? What do you want to say about the Michael Tate Newsboys situation? Should Newsboys be continuing to tour? Should they just kind of sweep this under the rug, or do they need to take some time off? They need to take some time off and then maybe come back, kind of reignite, reformulate, retool what the Newsboys is? Or should they just take some time off and then come back and then it be what it was? I don't think it's going to be what it was. Because I think in a lot of people's mind, either the name or the artists that are associated with Newsboys, this kind of puts a mark in people's minds in reference to what's really going on here. And so, interesting story from this summer, sad story, I would say, and just very difficult to be able to see how this is going to do anything except be a blight for the Christian music industry and for those who just nominally on the fence. Christian music really stands at this bridge between the world and the church. And I say it's in between the church because it's not the church. Anytime you go to a concert, and I hate when this happened, artists would get up on stage and be like, "Oh yeah, all the folks out there, you guys having a good time? Oh yeah, we're having a good time. Yeah, we having church tonight." I'm like, don't say that. We're not having church tonight. This is not an ecclesiastical gathering. We will not take the Lord's Supper. There will not be people who are being baptized. The gospel will likely not be preached. There will not be an exercise of pastoral authority or elder authority in the context of what's going on in the gathering. And so we're not having church just because we're having a concert. And so that aspect of why I say that Christian music stands in the bridge between the church, because it can relate, it can be played, not during a worship service, but in the church building for certain special occasions, maybe a revival of sorts. You have a church building and a revival and special music that's being played during that time. Okay. Maybe a special event to commemorate a banquet of some sort, fundraiser of some sort, and you have some Christian music that's being played, categorized in that. That's fine. So connected to the church, but also connected to the world. And there's people who listen, and I know people because I've met them before, who started listening to Christian music and saying, well, this Christian music isn't all that bad. And then the Lord began to use the Christian music to point them in a direction, and they found their way into the church, found their way into God's word, became believers and devoted followers of Christ through the medium of being able to connect with the music or be able to connect with the artist. And so the Christian music industry stands at this really challenging bridge, right, between the church and the world. And I can't think that anything other than it's going to be a bit of a blight to the Christian music industry, even to independent artists, even reading some of those things that are being reported, and obviously in the court of law and due process, those allegations will have to be proved out if there's criminal activity. But the fact that you hear things like that, the fact that there's things like a Ravi Zacharias, if you don't know who he is, he was an apologist who was using his spiritual influence to manipulate, cajole, harm women. A Mike PICKLE is out there. You know, these are just recent names. And some of the things that he was alleged to have done over years, 4 years, scandal after scandal. And so those kind of things damage the witness for some. They will not ultimately stop the elect from coming to Christ, but those kind of things damage the witness of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. All right, let me do this. I'm trying to figure out how to work the studio. All right, so that gone. We're going to get into here in 30 seconds, Donald Trump. Maybe I should just do a whole week on Donald Trump, because I'd love for me to have some actual time to bifurcate out my position on Donald Trump. It is a curious position, because on the one hand, I think that he's absolutely kind of a nincompoop. I mean, really, he is kind of a caricature. He's a clown. He's petulant, I think, in some regards, narcissistic, even to a moderate degree. A little bit haphazard. Well, a lot of bit haphazard in some ways, and yet in all of that, I still say very positive things about Donald Trump. So, how as a Christian can we say positive things about Donald Trump, knowing the kind of, we talked about character a little bit earlier. How can we say things like that, knowing his character, knowing his petulance, knowing his narcissism? And I think that Kirk Cameron is going to start to get into some of those things. And I'm really interested to see what your comments are. If you didn't want to talk about Michael Tate, that's kind of a dark story. That's kind of a blight. But if you didn't want to talk about Michael Tate, maybe you want to talk about Donald Trump. I know I was with a group of guys yesterday who were, we're not supposed to get into politics in the group that I was in. They brought it up, and I just kind of made the statement. So I guess I'm maybe the only conservative here at this table. All right, good to know. I'm a conservative without being a Donald Trump follower. So we'll deal with that in 30 seconds. Take a 30-second pause there. Actually, take a 30-second pause, and then we're coming back and we're talking about Donald Trump. All right.
To congratulate you on picking one of the best podcasts that you could possibly have sat down and chosen to watch and enjoy and take in all the fantastic content created by the one and only Erskiin of Erskiin Music. So welcome to the Erskiin Music Show.
All right, I'm back. All right, let's jump into this next stuff. I'm starting to get the hang of it now. I had to click through a couple of buttons and kind of figure out what the screen orientation is. But I'm back, folks. He's back. I'm back. All right, let's get to this. I don't think we're going to be able to do deep transitioning today. But this is Kirk Cameron. Do you regret voting for Donald Trump? Or are you doubling down? Are you standing, as they say, 10 toes down? I voted for him. I'm glad I voted for him. Everything that's happening is things that I anticipated happening. And so, boom, we're here. We're good. Or are you regretting, I'm watching some things that are going on and not pleased at all about that? Is that your position? Let's listen to Kirk Cameron.
Let me remind you of just a few of the things that Trump has done in this second term. One, ended the federal government's assault on peaceful pro-life Americans. He also created a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. He effectively abolished the Johnson Amendment. That's been around for forever. He's also defending Christian medical professionals from being forced to participate in gender reassignment surgeries. We can't forget about him securing the border against drug cartels, warlords, human traffickers, and violent criminals. This is not the work of somebody who's hostile to Christian values. He is protecting them for us. Let me remind you.
All right. So you got a chance to see that soundbite. And I'm wondering what your thoughts, comments are. You want to talk about Michael St., but maybe you want to talk about Donald Trump. Did you vote for Donald Trump? Did you vote for Donald Trump and regret voting for Donald Trump? Did you vote for Donald Trump and you are excited about what is happening with Donald Trump? I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but I certainly didn't vote for the other candidate that was out there. Wrote in an independent. I'm in Tennessee, so we already knew where those electoral votes were going to go. But I am in East Nashville, and so I get a chance to have a lot of substantive, a lot of good discussions about some of these things. Sometimes they're not substantive. and came across the show that I had done where I was essentially talking about the tariffs. And if the tariffs remained in place and the tariffs went the way that people thought they would go, in the short run, it might impact Erskiin Music, the business, to the point where we can't recover. Now, obviously, God is sovereign in that, and that might be God's way of moving us to something else, moving me toward being the president of the United States. But suffice it to say, the ability to look at a Trump administration and say there's some things that I definitely don't understand. This whole relationship with Israel, and I'm going to do my part to speak about that as well. What are we at here? Yeah, I won't do the detransitioning today. But some things in which the Trump administration has protected and guided and shown some support for worldview issues that the Christian can be a part of. I don't think my soul's in conflict with being able to say I appreciate those things, while at the same time holding him accountable for the things that he's doing and the manner in which he's doing those things. So there's that. Kirk Cameron, let's listen to it again.
Of just a few of the things that Trump has done in this second term. One, ended the federal government's assault on peaceful pro-life Americans. He also created a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. He effectively abolished the Johnson Amendment. That's been around for forever. He's also defending Christian medical professionals from being forced to participate in gender reassignment surgeries. We can't forget about him securing the border against drug cartels, warlords, human traffickers, and violent criminals. This is not the work of somebody who's hostile to Christian values. He is protecting them for us. Let me remind you of just a few of the things that Trump has done in this second term. One, ended the federal government's assault on peaceful pro-life Americans. He also created a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. He effectively abolished the Johnson Amendment. That's been around for forever. He's also defending Christian medical professionals.
All right. So we watched that kind of 2.5 times now. Your comments, your thoughts, your statements. I'm not asking for a popularity contest. I'm not asking, do you like Donald Trump as the person? I'm asking you to evaluate the platform positions that he has. And I know that Chicago would be a good test case example of this. And I was prepping this morning. I was prepping for this video, but then I came across several other videos that I did not play. But it is people who are in Chicago who are saying that it's interesting because you have this sort of elitism that takes place where there's people like Chicago. What? Chicago doesn't have a problem with crime. Chicago's good, man. People, great. A lot of these politicians, a lot of folks that are out there in the suburbs, living good lives, low crime. Many opportunities are there. In the heart of the city, it's just not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. And so when we paint that picture from one vantage point and say, well, no, there don't need to be troops or any type of intervention in what's going on in Chicagoland. No intervention in that. It's fine around here. Skokie is good. Garney Mills is good. What are we talking about? Well, on the south side, it's not good. And so that's an issue in which it's important to hear an alternate voice on that. And so I'm glad that there's people who are rising up and they're kicking back against the system and saying, wait a minute, don't put this at the feet of Donald Trump just being outlandish. Put this in the category of there's an actual problem that needs to be solved. And Donald Trump is good at solving problems. I will give him that. Iran, yeah, you thought you're about to rise up, but you're not. You thought that, and again, that's all of these stories are to be continued. Iran thought that they were about to rise up with nuclear weapons, and we said, actually, you're going back to the 1950s in terms of your nuclear capabilities. Good luck with that one. And people came out because I watched the media during that time. That was also one of those times when I was off from my show. And I watched the media and I thought, well, what would Erskiin do in a situation like this? What would Erskiin say in a situation like this? Okay, bomb, okay, bunker buster, okay. Okay, we destroyed their nuclear capability. All right, I'm in favor of it. And maybe that makes you feel a certain way about me as a Christian. But I think operating in the sphere of sovereignty of the government having a sphere of influence, the church having a sphere of influence, and then within the context of families, there's a sphere of influence and a circle and a dynamic that's important. And they may overlap at times, but within the context of those things, I'm usually on the cutting edge part of the conversation. So there's that. All right, we got one more Erskiin music song, and then we're going to be wrapping it down. We got a guest that's coming on tomorrow, and I'll tell you who the guest is because you will not want to miss tomorrow's episode. It's going to be, I'll just go ahead and say it's going to be a lively discussion. It's not a debate in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But the guest that I'm bringing on is no person who is shy of their opinions. And so we're going to springboard from their platform to who knows where we'll go. As we were prepping for the show and talking just in a brief sketch about what the expectations of the show were, I had made mention of the fact that really I could just throw out a topic and just start talking about that topic, and then got to see where that topic leads. But anyway, some Erskiin music here. We did Only Love. We did Everything. Now we're doing Hard Fought Hallelujah. No, I didn't write that song. We're going to be doing a song called Better Day. Season premiere is back. It's a better day. Folks, you waited patiently. And I'm back. Erskiin Music Show. Where we at?
Looking at the photographs in an album left behind, thinking of the wonder years and all the dreams I resigned. Things I should have done, I should have said. Something is telling me the best is still ahead. I'm alive and well, I've got a story to tell. I'm not what I used to be. To live is Christ, to die is gain, by the power of his name and the glory of God in me. It's a better day. Oh, it's a better day. Running in a field of dreams and possibilities, given to the promises of a world yet unseen. I've seen brokenness, times I've bled. Something is telling me the best is still ahead. My God is telling me the best is still ahead. I'm alive and well, I've got a story to tell. I'm not what I used to be. To live is Christ, die is gain, by the power of his name and the glory of God in me. Every piece of every broken story, you alone have redeemed. Oh, better day because of you are flowing and living inside of me. I'm not what I used to be. Jesus Christ, I am gained by the power of his name and the glory of God in me. I'm alive and well. I've got a story to tell. I'm not what I used to be. Jesus Christ, I am gained by the power of his name and the glory of God in me. The glory of God in me. It's a better day. Oh, yeah. It's a better day. Oh, yeah. It's a better day. Oh, yeah. It's a better day. Oh, yeah.
As she is known. She is known for the numerous artists that she's worked with to be able to help them to vocally recover. We were having a conversation yesterday about Peeble Bryson, one of my favorite artists that I grew up listening to, and just vocal recovery. I've actually got a vocal thing that's going on right now. I don't know. Is that breaking news? Breaking news, folks.